Ladies and gentleweebs, my fellow flames of amethyst, welcome back to another Wuthering Waves discussion video. My name is the Amethyst Abrams, and today we're going to be discussing the forgotten characters in Wuthering Waves. And what I mean by this is, do you remember in the 1.0 story, towards the end of the story, where we had the Resonators Assemble scene, where all of the 4 and 5 star Resonators of Jinzhou came together to combat and fight the dark forces of the Threnodian? That was a really cool scene, right? That was a pretty cool scene. However, there's one little problem. Most of these characters have had no relevance in the story up until that point. Yuan Wu said one line to the High Magistrate of Jinzhou and said, "I'll bring them home safely," without any context. Why would we, as the audience, have any connection to these characters and give a damn about that specific scene if we know next to nothing about the majority of these characters? We had no story quest of Yuan Wu, no story quest of Tao Chi. The only companion quest of that roster that appeared, I believe, was Ling Yang, so we know much about him. But other than that, we know next to nothing about these characters. The only way you can find information about these characters is if you go to their character bio archive in the character menu. If you look for this character in the menu of Wuthering Waves, you can go to their lore and information, you can listen to their voice lines, you can read information about who they are as a character, and you can find things out about their past and their past situations which make them so important to the realm and to the world of Wuthering Waves. However, this is one of the situations where it should be show not tell. It should be a show not tell situation. Not everyone is going to go to the archives and read everything about these characters, because not everyone wants to read a novel to find out what their favorite character has done or what they can do. They want to see it in action in game, and we didn't get that in 1.0. Now, this is heavily influenced by the rewrite, the 80% correction rewrite Kuro did way back after CBT 1, I believe. They rewrote 80% of the story, however left 20% of the story in game. Now, within this 80% of the rewrite, we have missed out on so many character stories, so many cutscenes, so many different direction changes. Some changes were for the better, but others had to be sacrificed for the new story to take place. So that means we have not had a story for most of these really cool side characters, really cool 4-star characters like Yuan Wu, like Tao Chi, like others as well. You know, Verena, though, was in the story. I don't believe we had a story quest for Verena, but correct me if I'm wrong. We know nothing about Kalkaro, who is one of the most infamous characters and one of the coolest characters in Wuthering Waves. Okay, he is one of the most well-designed characters in the base roster of Wuthering Waves, arguably in Wuthering Waves anyway, just period. And we know nothing about this character unless you go out of your way to read the bio archive stories and read the archive lore about this character in the character menu. So why would the typical person, the average person, will not be doing that? The average person wants to see what this character can do and see evidence of this character existing, not just the archives that we have in the lore bio scriptures. In the CBT1, there was a clip where Kalkaro came crashing down in a bolt of lightning to help you, to aid you in battle against a very powerful Tacit Discord. So we know the cutscenes and we know the content is there, but we also know that it had to be rewritten to fit the narrative of the story they wanted to tell. Now, rewriting a story isn't the problem. The problem is there were so many loose ends left that we seriously just couldn't get our heads around what these characters are, why they're relevant. We don't know anything about them. Dun Jin. We know next to nothing about Dun Jin. We know nothing about Dun Jin. We know nothing about Yuan Wu. We don't know much about barely any of the base roster of Wuthering Waves, because either their story was written out in the rewrite, in the 80% rewrite, or they just haven't done it. Or they've just gone, we'll do it for a later update. And if they're doing it for a later update, there is nothing wrong with going for a later update story. Look at Encore. Encore's companion story is being released in 1.3, which is long overdue. I've been wanting an Encore story. I think she's such a cool character, and I've been really interested in seeing who she is and where she originates from and what her story is. So the fact that we're getting that in 1.3 is a pleasant surprise. It was nice to see that we're getting an Encore story. But what about the rest of the roster? What about the rest of the characters that are beloved or were beloved in Wuthering Waves upon launch and now are being pushed to the side because we know nothing about these characters? We know nothing about them. All we know is that they're in the game. And if you want to go that extra mile and read up their bio archive scriptures, then you can do that. But why would people do that when they could easily just watch a side quest or a companion quest or them appear in the main story? Not many people are going to just read, not many people are going to read the scriptures. Not many people are going to do that. And this is one of the problems that I personally have, is that a lot of things that we have in Wuthering Waves are loose ends. A lot of the characters are just loose ends in the story. For instance, Yuan Wu, in his lore, Yuan Wu is one of the most powerful resonators in Jinzhou. Fact. That is a fact. He overclocked, he snapped himself out of an overclock. His composure, his power, his abilities, his skill, his knowledge, everything about Yuan Wu makes him one of the most highest ranking resonators in Wuthering Waves lore. That is a fact. If you go and read his lore in his bio archives, or if you go and look at one of my past videos where I actually did a Yuan Wu lore video, you'll know how powerful what Yuan Wu is. However, he is brushed to the side in the story, and not many people know about how powerful he is and how relevant he is to the world of Wuthering Waves. He's one of the most respected people in Jinzhou. And we know nothing about that because we've never seen him before. He owns his own kickboxing gym. I've never heard of this kickboxing gym other than when I read up about it. I knew nothing about this character. I just thought he looked cool. He was a kickboxer, and that's all she wrote for me. That's all I wanted to know, is more about this character, because there are things that I can relate to. I wear suits. I like his style. I'm a boxer, therefore I can relate to this character in somewhat form or fashion, therefore I want to know more about this character. But the only way I could find out more about this character is if I went to the bio archive scriptures. I don't always want to go to the archives of these characters to find out who they are and what they are and where they came from and what makes them so unique. We shouldn't have to do that. If you want to find out about your favorite character, you should be able to have an element of a side quest, or at least see them around. Now, if they're adding them in a future story, like I said, that's completely fine. If they're adding them in a future story, that is completely fine. But you cannot tell me that they already had these quests or already had these cutscenes or footage of these characters in the previous story, cut it, and not then just rewrite these characters to make it fit the narrative anyway. Because there's no point having these really cool looking characters and not expand on these characters. To me, that's a bit of a waste. Now, if you guys don't care about this situation, then fine, you don't care about the situation. But this is something I wanted to talk about for a little while now, because it is something that does rub me the wrong way, because it does show me that Kuro Games has these, they have these characters that are beloved and that do need the spotlight. And either they've gone, we'll do that later, and then they've forgotten about it, or they genuinely have gone, we have plans for this character and we'll write them in the story when it fits the narrative. If that's the case, fine, let them cook. I'll be patient. But if it's not the case and they genuinely rewrote them out of the original story and forgot or don't know how to rewrite them in the new story, that to me is bad. That to me is bad. Calcaro, one of the most infamous characters in Wuthering Waves, he is a bounty hunting mercenary that is immensely powerful, harnesses the power of thunder. He is feared and revered and also respected across the entirety of Jinzhou. He had his own group that he then betrayed by making a second group and then combating his original because it benefited him, because it was in his best interest. And if you want a bounty taken care of, if you have a job that needs to be taken care of and you want Calcaro to deal with it for you, the only payment he's going to accept is a shell and information about a future target or information about an organization or something like that. So, but he's so mysterious. We know nothing about this character, and yet he's so cool. What's the origin of Calcaro? Where does he come from? Why is he so powerful? How can he control the power of a thunder stand? We don't know this information because it was either rewritten or they've forgotten about it, or maybe they, like I said, maybe they've made plans for him in the future. A really cool 5-star of his caliber cannot just be brushed to the side. You can't just brush that sort of character to the side. Yuan Wu, I know he's not the most popular character, but he's popular to me. I am a massive fan of Yuan Wu, so I would very much like a story quest or some sort of information in a form of a cutscene or in the form of a quest, side quest, character quest, whatever. Just I would like to know more about this character, and I would like to see him in action other than just one scene that was a throwaway scene where he just says to the magistrate, "I'll bring them home safe, you have my word." That is such a throwaway line that could have had so much more meaning if we met him earlier in the story. You know what I mean? Dun Jin, one of the most powerful and most interesting characters in Wuthering Waves. She can control blood. She controls her own blood and transforms it into damage. Either she is a psycho that could be an absolute amazing villain, or there's something else that gives her that sort of ability that you know, we don't know. We don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. We don't know if she's good or if she's bad or if she's in between. We know nothing about these characters. Calcaro we know nothing about, you know, and even the characters that did pop up in the story, we know very limited information. We know Tao Chi's a general of the Midnight Rangers, but we don't know anything else about that. We don't know anything more about that. Encore's getting her story quest. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to playing that. But again, it's like, well, Alto. What do we know about Alto? Granted, Alto appeared in the story, but we don't really know much about him other than he's a part of the Black Shores. Like, we know nothing about these resonators, and we know nothing about these Baizhu. We don't know anything about Baizhu. Baizhu is a character that is a mystery. We interacted with her at the start of 1.0, but then she sort of disappeared as well. We know nothing about her as well. So these characters that are very important characters that clearly have some sort of importance to the world aren't being explored and aren't being explained unless you go to the Bioscripture archive and read it yourself. Now, I'm doing lore videos. I'm working on these lore videos for these specific characters, so if you want to wait for those, great. I'll see you there in those videos. I've got a Calcaro video in the works at the moment that I'm very much excited to work on and show you guys. I've done a Yuan Wu one. I've done a Geshu Lin video. I'm working on other lore videos for you guys because I am one of those people that I'm frustrated with the fact that we know nothing about these characters. And I know there are people out there that are looking for information about these characters. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do lore videos about the characters. Another amazing lore content creator, Ufi TV. If you want to know more about the world of Jinzhou and certain characters, go and follow Ufi TV. She's an amazing lore content creator. But that's my opinion, guys. A little bit of a rant here. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. If you did enjoy this video, I would appreciate leaving a like and a comment and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. So take it easy.